All praises, all praises. First and foremost, I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh Shema Mashiach Yahweh Shai. That's who the world intimately calls Jesus Christ. And we're back at it with another lesson. And as the title says, for God so loved the world. What world? My brother got a lesson for it, right? Go ahead, King.
Right. Me. I'm the channel surfer, and I just think even when we at camp, man, it's amazing to me still this deep into like people like us who've been in this truth now. I'm going on 7 years. You probably going on about 8.
Yeah.
For us, like it's amazing me how many people still walk up and want to go to John 3:16. And it's amazing how many people still don't really understand what's going on there, right? So that's why I put it. We titled it "For God So Loved the World" with a question mark, right? So first off, this conversation is not just about salvation, right? It's about who does the Most High say that He loves, right? And if He loves everyone, first off, just show me the verses that say that, right? Because I've said 100 times, whatever the Bible say, I'm cool with it, right? If He loves everybody, point me to where He says that outside of John 3:16, because we understand that y'all understanding of John 3:16 is not correct, right? But anywhere outside of there, show me where He says He loves everybody. And if He loves everybody, why is He so distinct with feeling one way about His people and labeling His people? And why is it so clear that He would, that even when you look at the covenants and the promises that they're given to one people, why did He divide the nations more than once, right? If He loved everybody. Some things just don't coincide with what the Bible actually says. It's just Christian dogma, as they say, right? So a lot of this lesson is just kind of like Israelite 101, because when you've been in truth as long as we have, you get to a point where you almost stop dealing with certain things as you progress into other things. And this is something I think is still so important that I wanted to go back down this road a little bit, right? So like I said, a lot of this stuff is just Israelite 101, right? But, again, sometimes you want to go back to the basics and bring the basics back to the forefront, right? So again, since it's not all about salvation, let's just deal with what that word even means, salvation, right? We talked about this before, but this is the definition of salvation. It says, salvation, preservation or deliverance from harm, ruin, or loss, being delivered from danger or peril, right? I want to establish that because, again, this is not just about salvation, but even when you look at that, right, you have to understand, who are those people who need to be delivered from harm, who need to be preserved, who need to be delivered from peril and danger, right? It's the people, again, it's like we asked the question a couple weeks ago, is the slave and the slave master going to go to the same heaven? It makes no sense, right? The reason that the people need to be saved is from the people that's doing whatever said things to them. So you can't save the people who's bringing the danger and the harm and the peril, and you can't save them with the people who are being put under those circumstances. It makes no sense. And then are you even really saving those people if they still have to be in any kind of a space or any kind of to be able to look at those people who done these things to you, right, and them still be in the same position as you? Is that any kind of salvation in a sense anyway? It's not, right? So we have to understand that salvation in itself is about saving a people who are, under the foot of another people, right?
Salakia. Now, just by definition, that debunks Christians' belief of what salvation is.
Facts. You know what I'm saying? Like, it makes no sense. Like,
how can you die and be and get salvation? Like,
right, it makes no sense.
What are you being saved from? If you lived a good life according to a Christian, you're not being saved. That's where you're supposed to be.
Absolutely. Even those those old slave masters who believed that it was their right to enslave us. Okay, cool. Let's say it was. Then still, what are you being saved from?
Yep.
It makes no sense, right? So let me go to I'm gonna start with Isaiah 61. Go from 1 to probably let's go to about 5, right? This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 61, verse 1. The Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord hath anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted. Again, we talk about this all the time. Who is more brokenhearted than us? Why? Because of the things that have been done to us, right? Because of our nationality, our ethnicity, our customs, our traditions being stolen from us, right? Because of us being even in a position at one point where it was outlawed for us to even claim what we actually were. It was outlawed for us to say that we were Israelites and Jews, right? We are those people who are brokenhearted, right? To proclaim liberty to the captives and the opening of the prison to them that are bound, to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord and the day of vengeance of our God. Again, what is the vengeance about? It's like one of my favorite verses to talk about the vengeance being about the controversy of Zion. That's what vengeance is about, right? So again, let's just say, right, that it was only one group of people that did these things to the Israelites. That still would exclude, the line of thinking that God loves everybody. Because even if it was just that one group that was going to be treated differently, then it still shows you God don't love everybody, right? But at the same time, it's been many people who had their foot on our necks, many people who have taken part in our slavery and us being enslaved, right? So it lets you know right there, God can't love everybody, right? Because there are certain people who this vengeance is going to affect. And it's the people who did the things to his chosen people, right? It says to appoint unto them that mourn in Zion, to give them beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness, that they might be called trees of righteousness, right? So also, again, that's another thing I'm going to bring out in this lesson. There is a people that are viewed as a righteous people to God, and there's a people that's viewed as the wicked to God, right? And both of those things are going to have their place in this lesson, right? That they might be called trees of righteousness, the planting of the Lord, that he might be glorified. And they shall build the old wastes. They shall raise up the former desolations, and they shall repair the waste cities, the desolations of many generations. And strangers shall stand and feed your flocks, and the son of the alien shall be your plowman and your vine dressers, right? But ye shall be named the priests of the Lord, right? So this is what salvation is about, right? When the tables turn, when those curses that have been on us all these years turn and get put on our enemies. That's what salvation is about, right? And it's like, we as Israelites who understand who we are, to us, it's not a foreign concept. It still trips me out to this day that when you say to certain people, they almost like appalled at that concept. But it's only fair, right? Like, it's only fair that people that did these things get these things put on them. And again, I'm not even somebody listen, I take joy in it because that's when anytime something's been done to your people and you get to see those circumstances switch and change feet in a sense, how can that not bring you some sort of joy, right? But it's not because I'm sitting here and I'm just like F the world. No, I understand that because of the things that have been done to my people, the shoe has got to be on the other foot at some point. It's simple as that, right?
This is the book of Zechariah, chapter 1, verse 14. So the angel that communed with me said unto me, cry thou, saying, thus said the Lord of hosts, I am jealous for Jerusalem and for Zion with a great jealousy. And I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease. For I was but a little displeased, but they helped forward the affliction.
Right. That's crazy, right? And it's letting you know, yes, the Most High is behind us. But like he said, I was a little displeased, and y'all done went above and beyond. Y'all done went overboard with what you did to God's people. So there has to be a price, there has to be paid for that. As simple as that, right? So again, we are those people that have to receive that beauty for ashes, right? We have that's us, right? This is Psalm 73 and 3. I'm gonna go through about 8, right? It says, so we know that when you look at our oppressors, that they are not in trouble or danger as other men. So that right there, let's stop right there just for a second, right? If it's telling you that the people that did to us, right, our oppressors, right, that they are not in trouble or in danger as other men, what are they being saved from? It says it clear as day right there. They're not in the same position as us. They're not in the same trouble. They're not in the same peril. They're not in the same need of salvation. They're not in the same need to be saved from their oppressors because they are the oppressors, right? Again, so we know that when you look at our oppressors, they, again, they're not in trouble or in danger as other men. But what is the definition of salvation again, right? It's being saved or preserved or delivered from danger or peril. So again, why would the people who are not in trouble as other men need to be rescued? You're not in our position, right? So simple concept, right? Again, how can the people who create the danger need to be rescued from what they created? Yep. All they had to do was not create it. You know what I'm saying? It's a simple concept, right? So this is why the Most High has to send his son, right, to save his people, right? The same world that he said he loved, right? This is Isaiah 45 and 17. It says, but Israel shall be saved in the Lord with an everlasting salvation. Ye shall not be ashamed nor confounded, world without end. So this is the world he said he loved, Israel, right? Again, I love this verse. This is an Israelite 101. It's one of my personal favorites because it's plain as day, right? But Israel shall be saved in the Lord with an everlasting salvation. Ye shall not be ashamed nor confounded, world without end. So this is the world that he said he loved, and the world he said that he would save, right? This is Luke 1:68 in the ESV, right? It says, blessed be the Lord God of Israel, for he has visited and redeemed his people, and has raised up a horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David, as he spoke by the mouth of his holy prophets from old, that we should be saved from our enemies and from the hand of all who hate us. It don't say from the hand of all who hate the world. That makes no sense. Or the hand of hate, like who hate the whole earth. It's talking about one group of people, and that this one group of people would be hated by the rest of the earth, by the rest of the nations. That's who has to receive their salvation. That's the world that God said he so loved. That's what people don't understand, right? That we should be saved from our enemies and from the hand of all who hate us, right? Look at Isaiah 42:22. This is one of our favorites as well. But that's my point in this lesson, is dealing with some of those Israelite 101 verses, because they make perfect sense on why our school of thought is what it is, right? Isaiah 42:22. I'm gonna do this one in the ESV though, right? It says, but this is a people plundered and looted. They are all of them trapped in holes and hidden in prison. They have become plunder with none to rescue, spoil with none to say restore. And we go through this all the time. We know who packs up the prison houses, right? And again, America has so much of a huge percentage of the world's prisoners, and the majority of those people is blacks and Latinos and Native Americans. Period. Right? We the minority in this country, but make up the majority of the prisons. It makes no sense, right? Besides the fact that these are the people that God said he loved, who would be under the foot of their enemies, who God would have to send his son back to save. That's the only thing that makes sense. That's why brothers like me and Debak are in this truth, because it made the world make sense. Without understanding this truth, the world makes no sense. How could the chosen, and we say this, I've said this many times too, how could the chosen people, right, be the people who do this to all to the other people? How could you be a sore winner? You know what I'm saying?
Like Salaki, I got a statistics, right? So I looked it up. It says the United States has a much higher incarceration rate than the rest of the world, with more than 20% of the world prison population, even though it only accounts for 5% of the world population.
Crazy, bro. That's criminal, man. That's criminal in itself, bro. It's like, and again, the fact that we understand that we're not the people who commit the most crime in this country, right? We're not the people who do the most robbing and killing. And right now, don't get it wrong. We guilty of some of this too. Don't get it twisted. And especially when it comes to what we do.
Wicked, we know it.
Right, you know what I'm saying? Especially when it comes to what we do to our own people, right? But the fact that we believe that, you have so many people who that's why we call them coons, because who hate their people so much that you almost believe that we deserve this position that we're in. And in a sense, we do when you look at it from the Most High's lens, absolutely. But when you look at it from the things that are perpetrated amongst our people, like they talk about the turnover rate of prison cases, the majority of cases that get overturned are black folks' cases, because they was falsely arrested in the first place. They was falsely arrested, falsely convicted. Nobody looks at that though, right? The majority of overturned cases in this country are black folks, right? So you got to understand, it's not the same playing field, and there is a reason why the Most High has to send his son to save his people, right? Again, so read that one more time, all right? It says, but this is a people plundered and looted. They are all of them trapped in holes and hidden in prison. They have become plunder with none to rescue, spoil with none to say restore, right? This is, I'm going to get, let me see. I'm going to go to Malachi 1 real quick too, because I just want to touch this real quick. This is Malachi, because we got to understand that, our people, I've been at camp and heard other people come up, white folks, even some of our people say, how could y'all be the Israelites, right? But the Bible says that because these curses was on these people, this is why they would behave that way. This is why we do the things we do, because we're under these curses. That's why we're the Israelites, right? But again, right? So this is Malachi 1:1. The burden of the word of the Lord to Israel by Malachi. It says, I have loved you, saith the Lord. Yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother, saith the Lord, yet I love Jacob, and I hated Esau and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness, right? So we look at this as almost a microcosm, right? Because let's just talk about literally just Esau, right? Not the people that descended from Esau. That would still prove that God don't love everybody, right? But then the fact that we understand that Esau, it's about, Esau, Edom, and the people that descend from Esau, then you have to understand there's a group of people that the Most High said he don't love. So let's just say it was just them. That still disqualifies that statement that God loves the whole world. But we understand it's more than just them. But if it was just them, it still disqualifies that statement, right? Let me see. I'm gonna get Isaiah 43 too, real quick. I'm gonna get this in a few different translations too, though, real quick. All right, so this is Isaiah 43. I'm gonna start with the NIV, right? It says, and this we have to understand, right? That the Most High views us as a precious commodity, almost, if you will, right? As a precious thing to him, right? Which is why he refines us through this punishment, right? We're in our prison sentence right now, but this is how he's going to refine us so that when we rule the world, when we are sitting in a position we're supposed to be sitting, then we've been through everything we need to go through, and we deserve to be sitting in that position. That's why we go through what we go through as well, right? This is Isaiah 43:4 in the NIV. It says, since you are precious and honored in my sight, and because I love you, I will give people in exchange for you, nations in exchange for your life, right? And we brought this out before. The Most High used he ransomed these other nations for us, right? You got to understand how serious of a thing that is. For somebody to say, you know what, forget y'all, I'm going to get y'all up so I can get them right. Like, I'm going to trade y'all up. I'm going to give y'all lives, however you want to classify it, so that these people can be saved, so these people can be all right, so that these people can be in a position that I set up for them to be in the first place, right? I'm reading a couple more translations because I just think it's an incredible verse. And if this don't make it clear, I just don't, what else are you looking for, right? It says, this is the NLT, it says, others were given in exchange for you. I traded their lives for yours because you are precious to me. You are honored, and I love you. It don't say I love the world. This proves right here, if I love the world in the sense that people try to make it to be, then how could their lives mean any less to me than yours? How could I use them as almost currency to get you, to buy you, right? It makes no sense, right? Again, it says, this is NLT, it says, others were given in exchange for you. I traded their lives for yours, right? You don't trade something, if when you have an NBA team, right, and you're making a trade, there's certain things that you take off the table, right? Because it's of that much value to you, right? The things you're willing to give up is the things that in your mind, hey, I can do without that. I can live without that. We can win without that. That's what's happening here. He's saying these things I'm willing to trade for you, they don't mean the same to me as you do. That's the whole nature of that kind of a trade period, right? You want to receive something back, right? And you want to receive something of preferably of more value than what you gave up, but at least of equal value, right? But the fact that you're talking about nations and nations for one people lets you know all y'all together still don't equal what we mean to the Most High. That's why he said he's going to trade your lives for ours, right? Same verse in the ESV. It says, because you are precious in my eyes and honored, and I love you, I give men in return for you, peoples in exchange for your life. Like, I mean, it's not funny, but it's like, it be so plain as day, bro. It's like, sometimes I don't understand, what the mind scramble is. It's plain as day, right? I'm gonna get a couple more translations. I'm gonna move on, right? This is the Berean Standard Bible, the BSB, right? It says, because you are precious and honored in my sight, and because I love you, I will give men in exchange for you and nations in place of your life. And that's what I'm just saying. You talking about nations, groups of people on top of groups of people on top of groups of people for one people, right? I will give nations in place for your life, right? Same verse in the NASB, and I'm gonna move on, right? It says, since you are precious in my sight, since you are honored and I love you, I will give other people in your place and other nations in exchange for your life, right? So again, some of these things are plain as day. To push back on certain concepts in the Bible, it's like to me, that's damnable heresies, if you ask me, because it's so plain.
Are you mute, bro?
We good?
Yeah, you good now.
Okay. Yeah, again, I think, like I said, to not be able to accept some of these concepts, to me, that's the damnable heresy in itself, because some of these concepts are plain as day, and they're in here over and over and over and over. I could literally do a 3-4 hour long lesson on this subject, and it's still not run out of verses, right? It's just how much is in the Bible. You know what I mean? So let me get let me see. I wanted to go to let me go to some other stuff first, and I'll go back to this. All right, bet. Cool, good.
I got a precept. This is the book of Exodus, chapter 14, verse 13. And Moses said unto the people, fear not, stand still, and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will show you today. For the Egyptians whom ye have seen today, ye shall see them again no more forever. The Lord shall fight for you, and you shall hold your peace.
It's just crazy. Like we've literally seen the Most High destroy an entire people just for us, which is why, again, sometimes I don't understand why it's so hard for people to believe that Christ is coming to do the same thing. That's why we did that lesson a few months back about a prophet like unto Moses. Why? Because Christ's gonna come and do the same thing Moses did, man. It's as simple as it's not difficult. He's gonna come and do the same thing Moses did for the same group of people that Moses did it for. Right? This is what the prophecy tells us. Just like the prophecy told us that Moses would come and do what he did. This is what the prophecy is telling us about when Christ returns and what he's going to do, right? So again, it's all about those that world that God so loved. These are the people who these things have been done for, and these are the people who these things will be done for in the future, right? So again, if God loved everybody, then there's no point in him dividing the people several different times and giving them different lots and inheritances, right? All people can be used by God, absolutely, right? That's of no disputation from our side, right? But used for what purpose, right? This is Proverbs 16:4, right? It says, the Lord hath made all things for himself, yea, even the wicked for the day of evil. So yeah, just because he used other people, that don't make them his people. And again, to what purpose is he using them for? Right? The Bible talks about there being a people who are wicked and a people who are righteous. What purpose is he using those wicked people for? What does it say, right? The Lord hath made all things for himself, yea, even the wicked for the day of evil. That's what he's using those wicked people for the day of evil, right? We know how the Most High feels about wickedness and evil. He hates it, right? It's an abomination to him, right? But again, all right, so let's look at when he did divide the nations, right? It's Deuteronomy 32:8, right? It says, when the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated, right? Separated, not joined together. When he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel, right? Verse 9 says, what? For the Lord's portion is his people, right? Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. So we just talked about if the Lord was about loving the whole world, as people think world means the whole earth, then why does he separate and divide nations? Why does he give people different lots? And why does he have his own little inheritance for himself? Because that world that is his inheritance is one world, and that world is Israel, right? It's the world of Israel, right? Again, so it's verse 9, for the Lord's portion is his people, Jacob. His people. Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. Verse 10 says, he found him in a desert land and in the waste howling wilderness. He led him about. He instructed him. He kept him as the apple of his eye, right? So these people who are the apple of God's eye, these are the people he loves. These are the people who he saved before or who he will save again, right? These are the same people he made the old covenant with, right? Or the Old Testament, right? And the same people he made the new covenant or the New Testament with, right? So, this is why it really even makes no sense when people say things like, well, that was the Old Testament, because the Old Testament is just the old covenant, right? Made with the same people who the New Testament, who y'all love to go to, is made with the same people the New Testament, the new covenant is made with. So So the way you exclude yourself from the Old Testament, you honestly should exclude yourself from the New Testament as well, because either one had nothing to do with anybody but this one people, right? And it's verse after verse that can prove that as well. And I'm gonna get some of those too, right? So you know, what
So
you
like,
got something?
the water to Big Brew, man, for the donation, man. We appreciate it, brother.
You got something else? You got a precept?
No, I ain't got no appreciate. I just wanted to know. Thank you.
All right, cool. So and I've said this before. People can admit that he made both covenants with the same people, but can't admit that these people are the people who this whole book is about. Y'all do the separating, just like y'all do the separating the Old and the New Testament. It's not like that in the Bible, right? Y'all do that, right? And y'all do the separating and making this thing about everybody. That's what Catholicism is about, right? Universal. But that's not what the Bible is about. That's what Catholicism and Christianity is about. But that concept, when you're talking about the laws of God and the covenants and the promises, that's not in this book, right? Again, like I said, this book has nothing to do with all people. Though, like it says in Proverbs 29, right? Let me just get it to real quick, right?
Salakia, just a couple shout outs, man. Shout out to Jay Israel, man, who's quoting all my songs. I like that. Shout out to Brother Ash and Priest Sakah's in the chat too, man. So shout out to the people in the chat.
My guys, both my guys, man. Shout out to Ash for sure. Shout out to Priest Sakah for sure. My guys, right? Proverbs 29:2, right? When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked bear the rule, the people mourn, right? So though it is all about us, right? This book, right? These promises, these covenants, it is all about us. But people in general, will rejoice when the righteous people, when God's people rule this earth, rule this world, right? And, when you look at it from that standpoint, yes, the Gentiles should be happy. You're going to be in a better situation under our rulership than you ever was under your own. And that's crazy, but it's the truth. You know what I'm saying? That your people will be treated better by a whole other group of people than y'all was treated by your own people, right? Right. So again, this book, these covenants, these promises, it's about one people. That world that God so loved is the same people who all these things are about. It's not about nobody else, right? And again, I take pleasure in it because I believe that things that have been done to my people, yes, a recompense has to happen for it. How can we not take pleasure in that? Like, people act like it's almost a wicked thing to take pleasure in seeing the shoe go on the other foot, which is going to happen, but it's not. And the Bible gives many scriptures on that too. How it's a joyous thing to see the downfall of your enemy, right? That's just what it is, right? So again, there's a people that God, deems as wicked, and honestly, more than one group of people. But let's just deal with one for now, right? Because even if there was just one, like I said before, then it still proves that the world that God so loved is not the entire earth, right? Let me go to. Let's see. Did I hit Malachi? I did hit that already. Let me hit Psalm. This is Psalms 50:16, right? And it says, "But unto the wicked God saith, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth?" Right? So again, there is a people that are deemed as wicked, and a people who are outside of God's covenants and outside of the laws, statutes, and commandments that he gave to his people, right? To the people who he loved, right? So if there are a people who are deemed as wicked, how can they be loved by God when God hates evil and hates wickedness, right? Proverbs 15:8 says, "The sacrifice of the wicked is an abomination to the Lord, but the prayer of the upright is his delight. The way of the wicked is an abomination unto the Lord, but he loveth him that followeth after righteousness." So the Most High hates evil and hates wickedness, right? So how could he love them at the same time when there's a people who are deemed to be the wicked, right? Let me get this anyway, though, real quick.
I got a precept.
I bet. Cool.
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 25, verse 7. "There be 9 things that I have judged in my heart to be happy, and the 10th I will utter with my tongue. A man that have joy of his children, and he that liveth to see the fall of his enemy."
Con. And that's what I'm saying. How could it be a wicked thing, man? The Bible says it's a blessed thing, it's a righteous thing, it's a joyous thing to see the fall of your enemy, man. Because think about things your enemy has done to you, right? To our people, right? How can it not be an incredible day to witness this shoe going on the other foot, like they say, right? But again, right? So if there's a people that are deemed wicked, and we just read how the Most High feels about wickedness, right? It's an abomination. And anything they do, their sacrifices, their actions, them even trying to keep certain law, it's an abomination in God's eyes, right? It says, they shall build, right? This is Malachi 1, and I'm gonna start at 4. It says, whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord hath indignation forever, right? So how could he love these people who he has indignation against forever? How could he love these people when he said he hated wickedness? How could he love these people when he said he hated wickedness and called them the border of wickedness, right? Y'all are the standard of wickedness is what this is saying, right? So some things, again, you may not like certain concepts in the Bible. They may make you uncomfortable, and that's fine. When I first got into truth, some things made a priest Hakai can tell you that, right? Certain things made me uncomfortable too. But when you come to this truth like a child and erase all the things you've been taught and start, basically from scratch, you understand it's a righteous thing, right? That recompense is a righteous thing in the Most High's eyes. Period. God, go ahead.
This is the book of Baruch, chapter 4, verse 24. Like as the neighbors of Zion have seen your captivity, so shall they see shortly your salvation from our God, which shall come upon you with great glory and brightness of the everlasting. My children, suffer patiently the wrath that is come upon you from God, for thy enemy have persecuted thee, but shortly thou shalt see his destruction and shall tread upon his neck.
Right. Come on, man. How can you not love that, bro? I mean, I'm sorry. And for me, it's not even about like just rubbing it in people's face. It's not about that. But it's about understanding and feeling for your own people. Our people have been through hell. Our people still go through hell every day, bro. Like I can tell you some things that have been happening to people I know, right? Listen, our people go through hell every day. Why would it not be an incredible sight to see our people actually have joy, actually receive that beauty for ashes, right? It's an incredible thing when that happens, right? And I can't wait, right? But again, so if there's a people who are established as the border of wickedness, right, then it makes this verse make even more sense, right? And it's Psalm 50 and 16 again. It says, but unto the wicked, God saith, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes? It's basically saying, what do y'all people even have with this book coming out your mouth, right? How are you breaking this down to my people? How are you teaching my people? This has nothing to do with you. You got nothing to do with it. And the covenants and the things attached to it, the statutes, have nothing to do with you. So you definitely shouldn't be teaching our people, right? And we talked about this before. We understand that what we've been taught through our oppressors, it had to be lies. Why? Because the Bible tells you, in our second Esdras, that this understanding was sealed up to a certain point. So that you couldn't have taught nothing but lies because you couldn't understand it because the understanding was sealed up. So all these years, our people been learning from our oppressors. We learned nothing but nonsense, man. Right?
Precept. I got a quick precept.
This
is the book of Daniel, chapter 12, verse 4. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the end of even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall increase. So right here in Daniel, it tells you the Bible will be shut until the end of time.
Right. So what was you learning but lies?
Exactly.
It makes no sense, man. But again, we always talk about that trick bag that the Most High has our oppressors in. They swear they got the light, but they don't. They swear they got the oil, but they just don't. And it was impossible for them to have it in the first place, right? But again, so if there are people who are deemed as wicked, right, how can they be loved by God when he hates evil and hates wickedness? Proverbs 15:8 again says, the sacrifice of the wicked is an abomination to the Lord, but the prayer of the upright is his delight. The way of the wicked is an abomination to the Lord, but he loveth him that followeth after righteousness, right? So even when you look at, them not having anything to do with the covenants, them not having anything to do with the laws and the statutes and commandments, right? Them being the people who shouldn't have his law, his word even coming out of their mouth, right? So who are the covenants for, and who are they dealing with, right? Let me start with let's go to Hebrews 9 and 15 real quick, right? This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 9, verse 15. It says, and for this cause, he is the he is the mediator of the New Testament, that by means of death, for the redemption of the transgressions that were under the first testament, they which are called might receive the promise of eternal inheritance. Now, I'm going to get us a couple other translations real quick too, right?
Also the water Dark Child World for the donation. I appreciate it, sis.
All praises. Let me get this real quick. All right.
Also, like, share, and subscribe if you ain't subscribed to the channel already.
Right, and man, we appreciate y'all support. And like I said, every week I appreciate y'all patience with a brother. You know, I don't claim to be the best teacher out here, but you know, I study this thing hard, and I believe in everything that we, you know, that we bring forth. You know, to the 1,000%, right? 1,000% I believe in, right? So this is the same verse in a couple other translations, right? Hebrews 9:15 says, this is the NIV. It says, for this reason, Christ is the mediator of a new covenant, right? We just talked about how they have nothing to do with these covenants, right? Of a new covenant, that those who are called may receive the promised eternal inheritance, now that he has died as a ransom to set them free from the sins committed under the first covenant, right? So just letting you know that, again, when they come and say, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, okay, what world is that, and who did he die for? It tells you right here who he died for. The same people who was under that first testament, under that first agreement, under that first covenant, right? Same verse in the NLT says, that is why he is the one who mediates a new covenant between God and people, right? We understand who those people are, right? So that all who are called can receive the eternal inheritance God has promised them for Christ. See, again, too, right? This is why I like other translations, because some people read this translation and make this apply to everybody, right? But there's certain things that it's a great verse, because it still breaks down that whoever these people are, these are the people who are under the first agreement, who are under the first covenant, right? It says, for Christ died to set them free from the penalty of the sins they had committed under that first covenant. Everybody wasn't under this first covenant. So even though other language in this same translation may make you feel like it's about everybody wasn't under the first covenant, right? I'm gonna get one more translation. I'm moving, right? This is the BLB, right? It says, and because of this, he is the mediator of a new covenant, so that death having taken place for redemption, right? When you look at those words like redemption and you know, we talked about this before, you know, even, you know, being reconciled, right? You can't be reconciled to something you were never a part of, right? So it says, so that death having taken place for redemption of the transgressions under the first covenant, those having been called might receive the promise of the eternal inheritance. And we bring this out all the time. Who are the called? Who are the justified? Who are the glorified? Right? It's the same group of people. It's that same world that God so loved, right? That's what this whole thing is about. Let's go to let me go to Hebrews 8:8, right? This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 8, verse 8. It says, for finding fault with them, he saith, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with who? With their fathers. So letting you know that the new covenant is going to be with the same people who he made a covenant with before, right? But it's not according to that one, right? But again, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt, because they continue not in my covenant and regarded them not, saith the Lord, right? For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, right? So again, like, we can go through, you know, even more, but my point was just that the same people who God said he sent his son for, who God so loved, that same world, the same people he gave the promises, the same people he gave both covenants, the you know, the duty of keeping the law and the duty of the service of God. It's all one people, right? You can try to you know, to give that to another people, but it's just not in this book. And that's all I ever try to deal with, is what does this book say? I understand the things we've been taught since we was babies, since we was kids, but when you read this book, it just ain't in there, bro. You know. So again, so let me keep going on. All right, there's a few more things I want to touch on. So let's matter of fact, let's get this one more time on the covenants, then I'll move on. This is Jeremiah chapter 31, verse 31, right? And it says, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break, although I was an husband unto them. Right. So this is the same thing in Hebrews 8 and 8. Right. I'm just trying to drill the point home that, that's the great thing about that verse in Psalm 50 and 16, when it talks about you don't even have any business attaching yourself to these covenants. These covenants shouldn't even be coming out your mouth. So again, they shouldn't be coming out your mouth. You shouldn't be grabbing a hold to them. The statutes and the laws, the commandments, the teaching of it, it has nothing to do with you, right? It has to do with the same people who God actually really so loved, who God so loved, right? So let's go there for a quick second too, right? Let's actually go to John 3:16, but let's start at verse 14.
Hold on.
All right, back up.
No, because I want to hammer in a point on Jeremiah 31, because he's speaking about the covenants, but he also says a very important thing at the end of how the new covenant would be for us. So this is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 31, verse 35. Mm-hmm. Thus said the Lord, which giveth the sun for a light by day, and the ordinance of the moon, and the stars for the light by night, which divided the sea when the waves thereof roar. The Lord of hosts is his name. If those ordinances depart from before me, said the Lord, then the seed of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me. So he's saying, God is saying, if I lose control of the sun, the moons, and the stars,
right,
that's when Israel will cease from being a nation.
Right.
God still has control of that thing.
Right. And always will.
Israel is still here.
Right. Facts. You know what I mean? And that's my thing about it, right? Is that, some of the stuff we talk about is literally Israelite 101, but it's so important because, people love to say that our beliefs just come from Deuteronomy 28. Our beliefs come from this entire book, right? Our school of thought comes from this entire book. And when you read these things over and over and over and over, it's like you actually be a fool to not take away the understanding that we come away with it from. Like, how can you not see what is so blatantly right in your face when you read this book, right? But again, let's hit John 3:16, but let's start at 14 because we bring this up every time we go into this, that people love to talk, Christians love to talk about context, but you never want to deal with the context when it comes to this. It's so many verses in general y'all don't really want to deal with the context of, but this is something y'all never want to deal with the context of, right? So let's start it at verse 14, right? This is John 3:14, and it says, and as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, even so must the Son of Man be lifted up, right? That whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have eternal life. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. So again, that whosoever, right, there's brought up 2-3 different times in these few verses. It's talking about the same people who Moses lifted up the serpent for in the wilderness, right? And a matter of fact, I'm gonna even go to that account real quick. But this is what it's about. The same way Moses did that, that's the same way Christ has to be lifted up for those same people, right? And we understand, Christ is that serpent. If you understand a little, hey baby, if you understand, a little more about the scripture, right? But let me go to
That's right. Hey, if you read Isaiah 14, Christ is that serpent.
Yeah.
Hey, also the water Danielle Israel for the donation. I appreciate it, sis.
Right. Let me see. Okay. This is the book of Numbers, chapter 21, verse 6, because this is the account that John 3:14 is actually talking about, right? And it says, starting at verse 6, it says, and the Lord sent fiery serpents among the people, and they bit the people, and much people of Israel died, right? So we understand who's the context here? Israel. Who's the people that had the fiery serpents were killing? Israel. Who was the people that the brass serpent had to be raised up for? Israel, right? So it says, and much people of Israel died. Therefore, the people came to Moses and said, we have sinned, for we have spoken against the Lord and against thee. Pray unto the Lord that he take away the serpents from us. And Moses prayed for the people. And the Lord said unto Moses, make thee a fiery serpent and set it upon a pole, And it shall come to pass that everyone that is bitten, when he looketh upon it, shall live, right? And Moses made a serpent of brass and put it upon a pole. And it came to pass that if a serpent had bitten any man, when he beheld the serpent of brass, he lived. And the children of Israel set forward and pitched in Oboth, right? So again, the context of this whole verse is the children of Israel, the sins that they committed, which is the reason why Most High sent the fiery serpents in the first place, which is the reason why he had Moses make the brass serpent, which is the reason why they had to look upon it to be saved. It's about one people. This is the world that God so loved, right? It's not about anything else. So when you look at the rest of John 3:16, when you understand this account, it makes perfect sense who that world that God so loved actually is, right? Let me get let me see. Let me get this in the pocket real quick. Let me get Wisdom of Solomon. I think it's what is it, 18? 18. Let's see. Y'all bear with me. My thing acting crazy. Okay. Let's see. Okay, right. It says, for in the long garment was the whole world, right? And in the 4 rows of the stones was the glory of the Father's graven and the majesty upon the diadem of his head, right? So we understand that this what was in that garment, what was in those stones. It's just like I saw Chief do a lesson about the UFOs the other day and how they came in the 4 rows, the 4 rows of 3, right? That same thing that was in the garment, the same thing that was in the upon the diadem of his head, right? It's about the 12 tribes of Israel, right? This is the whole world. It says, for in the long garment was the whole world, right? So again, when you look at all these things, when you look at the times that the whole world or the world without end it's all talking about the same people. It's one people, right? So if God loved the whole world, then why not give his word and his understanding of his word to the whole world? But we know, what does Psalm 147:19 say, right? Let's just get it, right? This is the book of Psalm, verse 147 and 19, right? And it says, he showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He have not dealt so with any nation. And as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord. So again, if his love was for the whole world, why take a group of people, put them aside, treat them differently, look at them differently, give them a different inheritance, give them a different set of laws, give them a different treatment in general, if it was about everybody? It makes no sense, right? It makes no sense, right? Well, let's keep going because I wanted to.
I got a precept.
I bet. Cool.
This is the book of John, chapter 18, verse 20. And Jesus, which is Yahushua HaMashiach, answered him, I spake openly to the world. I ever taught in the synagogues and in the temple, whither the Jews always resort. And in secret have I said nothing. He's right there, identified them world as the Jews.
Simple. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's the thing about it. And we talk, matter of fact, I'll get there too, right? When you understand that there are many worlds, right? Even in just today's societies, right? You got those people who come down every year and do the Comic-Con, the world of Comic-Con. You got the Dragon Con. Like, these are different worlds and different, people of different schools of thoughts and things that they're involved in and things that they are about, right? That's all this is talking about, right? That's why when you look at the word world, Cosmos is talking about what? An apt arrangement and a government, right? So people who govern themselves by different schools of thoughts and different, ideology and theology and different things that they're just involved in, right? So again, Hebrews 1 and 2 lets you know there's more than one world in the first place, right? It says, matter of fact, let's start at 1, right? It says, God, who at sundry times and in diverse manners spake in time past unto the fathers by the prophets, has in these last days spoken unto us by his Son, whom he hath appointed heir of all things, by whom also he made the worlds, right? So it says the worlds plural, right? And that's all we're talking about. If there's many worlds, then who is the world that God so loved, right? It's that world who would not be confounded, that world without end. And that's Israel, right? So let me see something that I want to touch real quick, and then we're gonna wrap this up, man. Let's see, is that fine? Okay. Okay. Again, right? So we understand too how many times it's said that, how many times I should have looked this up ahead of time, but if you look at how many times it's said, when describing God, the God of Israel, right? The God of Jacob, it's so specific. He could have easily named himself the God of the earth, the God of the whole world, right? He named himself the God of Israel, right? And it talks about so many times in the Bible how he's only in the midst of Israel, right? This is Psalms 132 and 13. It says, "For the Lord hath chosen Zion, he had desired it for his habitation. This is my rest forever. Here will I dwell, for I have desired it," right? And again, one thing I learned from Deacon, right? Huh? Tell us you got to give me 5 minutes. Give me 5 minutes. Is that even when you talk about Zion and Jerusalem, different, it was a people before it was a place, right? So even when he says things like he desired it, yes, he desired the land, but he desired the people as well. Yes, he chose Zion as his habitation, and the land, but he chose the people as his habitation as well, right? Isaiah 12 and 6, cry out and shout. It says, cry out and shout, thou inhabitant of Zion, for great is the Holy One of Israel in the midst of thee, right? Again, the Holy One of Israel, the God of Israel, only in the midst of Israel, in the midst of thee, it says, right? Ezekiel 43 and 7 says, and he said unto me, Son of man, the place of my throne and the place of the scales of my feet, where I will dwell in the midst of the children of Israel forever. And my holy name shall the house of Israel no more defile, neither they nor their kings by their whoredom, nor by the carcasses of their kings in their high places. So even though it gave us some rebuke there, he was still saying, these are people I'm gonna be with forever. These are the people who I'm in the midst of forever. These are my children, right? In the midst of the children of Israel forever, right? And we bring this out all the time too, right? But Job 2 and 27, it says, and ye shall know that I am in the midst of Israel, and that I am the Lord your God, and none else, and my people shall never be ashamed. Just like it said in the other verse we just talking about, that word without end, who would never be ashamed or confounded. Same people, same group of people, same people who he put his name on, same people who he's the God of, who he's in the midst of. Same people, right? And again, I've said at the beginning of this lesson, if you can find this in the book where it says everybody in the sense of really everybody, or whosoever in the sense of the whole entire earth, show it to me. Because I guarantee you it's your understanding of it that's wrong, right? And when you talk about how these things have to harmonize with each other, when you look at all the things that we done brought out, and like I said, we can go another 2 hours on this topic, and you'll see, that it's all about one people, right?
I got a quick precept.
I bet.
This the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 3, verse 36. Thou shalt find that Israel by name have kept thy precepts, but not the heathen.
Not the heathen. Come on, man. I mean, again, it's blatant, man. It's blatant. I'm gonna end with this last one, and then I gotta really go because I gotta try to knock some out for the Sabbath come in. But this is Zephaniah 3 and 15. It says, the Lord hath taken away thy judgments, he hath cast out thine enemy, the King of Israel, even the Lord is in the midst of thee. Thou shalt not see evil anymore. And that's what we waiting for. That's the day we're waiting for, right?
You on mute, bro.
We good?
You good now.
Did you get the last verse though?
We got the verse, but what you said after it, that's
All
what
right,
they get.
Right. I was just saying that, it's because it says, right, the King of Israel, even the Lord, is in the midst of thee. Thou shalt not see evil anymore. That's what we're waiting for as a people, right? That day when the things that we've gone through are, in the rear view. The things that we've gone through, that, those things change and go on our enemies, right? These curses on us, they change feet and go onto our enemies, right? Because that's what we're promised. And that's the day we're waiting on, when we won't see evil anymore, when we won't see the judgments that we're under, the punishments that we're under anymore. And that's going to be a glorious day. That's going to be a beautiful day. And again, for people who think it's some kind of wickedness to want to see the downfall of your enemy, that's wicked that you believe that, because the Bible brought a beautiful scripture to show you that's a glorious, beautiful thing, the day that we get to see that. And that's something we all waiting for. And with that, that was kind of what I wanted to get into today. I do want to try to run and grab some food for my family for the sun go down. So, you know what I mean? Y'all got any questions? Let's do that real quick, and I got to get out of it.
All right. Y'all, if y'all got any questions, put it in the chat. Like you said, people trying to get ready for the Shabbat. As you know, we do the lunar Sabbath. So the Shabbat is coming in. So y'all got a few minutes. Put your questions in the chat. Also, man, we've been busy. If anybody knows, my brother been busy. So if y'all know, you know, support. If you don't, figure it out, man.
We're not promoting that right now.
Yeah.
But no, even with that though, all praise to the Most High, man. It has been a, you know what I mean, it's been a successful run at it right now. So we appreciate the love and appreciate the Most High blessing on it. You know what I mean?
All praises. All praises. I seen one brother said, man, Zamyar, stop playing. You be bringing the fire out every time you teach. So when you're talking about how you're not a good teacher, they said, nah, brother, you can teach.
I mean, and that's because I look up to brothers like Priest Akar. I look up to brothers like you, like Ash, like Assad, like even Chief. You know what I mean? I ain't nowhere in that class of a teacher, but it's important to me. I take it serious and I try my best. You know what I mean? But that's why I say that. You know what I mean?
All right, y'all only got a couple minutes, so y'all better put your questions in the chat. And if you like on a minute or two delay, well, you're screwed. So
for real, come on, I got to go anyway. Here I come, I'm coming.
Look, and with that, we'll give all honor and glory to Yahweh by Shema Mashiach Yahweh Shai and Shalom, family.
Shalom, all praise the Most High. I love y'all.